Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I have my great friend here, Darnell. Make sure you follow him. And today we're going to be talking about how to remain friends after you've dated. So yes, we've dated and we're still friends. So we're going to talk about that and how we do that, okay? So do you want to just start with how we met? How did we meet? How do we know each other?
I think the first time we met, it was over an assignment for psychology class or spiritual formation. We went to a Christian school, and so we had a spiritual formation. I think it was a project, the final project.
We're outside. He has a bird on him. Okay, sorry.
It was a final thank you. A final project, and I think we had to work in groups. And I don't know if the groups were pre-picked or whatever, but I think I had always liked her in a sense, but I never made a move or anything. So I was like, okay, awesome. We get to be a part of something together, so I'm gonna make a move. It was actually really corny.
Yeah, it was. I don't remember, but yeah.
I remember we were going home, I think one day, and then we were talking about the assignment. I think we just started talking about ministry or whatever, and I asked you for your number on the basis of, oh, we have work to do, we have planning to do for the assignment, and then we I think that's what happened, and then we texted for a majority of that day.
And I can remember when I first saw him, I believe it was the same class, and I was just like, wow, he's so educated, he's so vocal.
Try.
Yeah. Then I met the real him, and I was like, run the other way.
I hope it wasn't too much of a surprise.
Yeah, so we started dating, and we dated for how long? For
you can't ask me that.
For a year almost?
Probably 10 months?
10 months, almost
10
a
months,
year.
11 months.
And then we broke up.
We did.
Yeah. Do you remember why we broke up?
Do you remember why we broke up?
we were just on different places.
We were in different places, and we were on a break.
Yeah.
And I guess we kind of grew apart, if that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say
so
we grew apart.
After that, after we broke up, we took some time apart from one another, kind of just to gather our thoughts and our feelings, and then we got to have a heart-to-heart conversation.
That was 5 months after.
Yeah,
we broke
it was a
up?
while after we broke up.
Yeah.
So I would say for anybody who has just broken up with someone and you're like, we're never gonna be friends. I think it's important to just give the other person space to kind of gather their thoughts and find out who they are without you. And then you can kind of come together and have an honest conversation about what really happened in your relationship, and then what you can do to move forward. So do you remember our conversation, or what were the steps we took to kind of gain back a friendship?
I think we always had a friendship. It's actually funny. Even when we didn't talk to each other, we would check in.
Yeah.
Because I think whether we're dating or not, we just genuinely care about each other's well-being. And so we hadn't communicated romantically for 5 months, but we were checking in with each other and things like that. Major events like birthdays and things like that, we were saying, happy birthday.
Yeah.
I just think time and opportunity presented itself for us to have a conversation about why we broke up, because we never did, and it wasn't planned. I believe it was at Nyack one day, and we were in the hallway.
Yeah, a
and
random day.
We just started hey, how's life? How's your family? How's your family? And then we started talking about that, and then that just led into, what happened with us? So
yeah, I think that's one thing that I feel I regret, that I feel we handled our relationship so well.
We did.
That I think we really messed up at the end when it came to the breakup. We didn't have a conversation hey, well, this is why we feel we shouldn't be together, and this is how I feel, this is how you feel. We kind of just wasn't getting along, and we were like, you know what, let's not do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I do remember, I think what I should know is that when we first started saying well, he liked me already from the beginning, I was still on the fence, I don't really know
you. Can I tell him that story?
Go ahead, whatever story.
That story. So I think we went out to an ice cream place or whatever, and I was confessing my love for her. Oh my God, I love you. Or at least I didn't say I love you. I was I like you. I'm really feeling your vibe. I think you're an awesome person. And I really just want to move forward as a thing. She's like, okay. She literally says, okay, thank you. So the thing about me is I'm literally, this is what she said.
This is what
She's
I
like,
said.
I'm processing a lot of things right now, and I really want to figure out. I'm just gonna paraphrase, but she's always saying, I want to figure out some things on my end and make me better, whatever. And I was like, yo, did she really just say okay?
Yeah.
To a whole confession of my love or whatever. But
Yeah.
that's that.
And then I thought about it. Like, I took some time. I love that we never like rushed into anything. And one of our fears, like, getting into a relationship was that we were really, really good friends. So it was like, how can we be good friends, date? Like, that usually doesn't end well. The statistics say otherwise. Like, I don't know. So for a while, I'm not gonna lie though, for a while it was kind of like we just didn't talk. It was just like, yeah, we just broke up. This is weird. I don't know how to act around you. Like, I'm still mad about certain things. And then we kind of like had to have a conversation and be adults. Like, you know, we still want to be in each other's lives. So I think that we should be mature and like talk about it.
Yeah.
So moving forward, what advice would you give anyone who's just like, oh, I want to be friends with like my ex or somebody that I dated? Like, how do I do that? How do you think we do that, I guess?
First, my advice would be block them. Delete their number.
Delete them, okay?
Delete them on Facebook,
There's a reason
Instagram.
why you broke up.
There's a reason. Just let the person go, and you know. No, I'm just kidding. I don't think this is like a everyone thing. I think this works for us in a lot of ways because of the way we were before we became boyfriend girlfriend.
Yeah.
We were very much best friends, like for a majority of our relationship, and we just had that best friend structure. We had a lot of boundaries, and so it wasn't too hard coming out of a relationship to now say, oh, we're not romantic as boyfriend girlfriend, but we are friends, because we already had like boundaries. We had certain expectations for each other that we still highly held. Beyond that, we just have a really great vibe together and our chemistry. And so if you feel like you want to continue to keep someone in your life because of those reasons, like they really just are a benefit to you in your life, I'm a benefit to you in your life?
Yeah, for sure.
You're a benefit to me
For sure.
sometimes.
So thank you.
So I think if that's your reason, then you should pursue like a friendship after your relationship. However, like if you have any other reason, I don't think you should.
Yeah.
Reason being, it may end up breaking you guys apart completely, meaning that you won't even be able to salvage anything out of your connection or time together.
Yeah.
So like if you feel like you being apart from that person is going to keep something within your connection or whatever, go ahead and do that. But if you feel like you can be like us and we can still be really cool friends, no strings attached, no feelings attached, go ahead and pursue that as well.
Yeah, and I think what's important that you mentioned was like we didn't start off like as like, oh, we're just dating. It was more like I feel like the reason why we can be friends now is our foundation. Like our foundation from the beginning was we're gonna set up boundaries. Like we're gonna make sure that we're doing things God's way, so that when we did break up, it wasn't like, oh, how can we do this? Like this is
such great evil.
Like we created this, and you know, and it was more like, no, we're just doing this in God's timing, and like we know that this is not the right time. So we could easily just say this is not working, give each other space, and then come back together later on to be friends. So do you remember any of like the foundational things that we started in our relationship? Because although
foundational in what sense?
Like I was gonna say that although like we're not together right now, I feel like there's a lot of things that we set up from the beginning when it comes to like boundaries, when it comes to like just how we're gonna communicate with one another with like respect and stuff like that. Can you remember any that we like set up?
Okay, so while we were dating, of course, like Katie said, we were like in a lot of ways holier than thou, but in a lot of ways cautious, because we had realized that, you know, we're young and it's not easy being young and dating and still remaining, you know, godly and pure. And so we kind of was like, we're gonna start this off God. So I think we even started our the first week of the relationship with a fast or something like that, or a prayer or something. We were
extra. We know now, but it works for
extra.
us at that time. So
it surely worked, and it kept us. You know, we kept God at the focus all the time, and so like space and opportunity for like the enemy to work was not there. When we felt a certain kind of way about certain things, we would first say, you know, let's pray about it. And always take it to God, and always just be in his face about the relationship consistently. We even did something, I don't know if you remember, when we got too like consumed with each other, we'll be like, we'll have moments where we just pray on the phone together, and we'll be like, you know, I surrender you to God. And she would say the same, like, I surrender you to God, because you're not mine, you're God's. And then, you know, all these different things. And we tried a lot not to hinder each other's ministry and our purpose. If you keep God at the foundation of your boundaries, it's bound to succeed. And I also think just being accountable to each other, because in a lot of ways we kind of let our boundaries down, and we were just like, some days we really don't care, it's whatever. And then we realize after like a week or 2 weeks, like, we got to get back on track. But it wasn't always like on one accord. It was one person that felt it and then brought it up, and then we were like, you're right. So having that accountability is very, very key as well in keeping your boundaries.
And I think also just being honest. Like, we were like, at points I think we were like too honest, or like brutally honest.
We were brutally honest.
And I think that that probably won't work for everyone, because of like whether you trust that person or just the dynamic of your relationship. But we were very like on purpose about being honest and like being truthful about how we felt, even if the other didn't necessarily like that, which mostly was the case, and then we usually like came around after that. But one thing that I really liked that you said was that like we surrendered each other. So for somebody who's like, even if you're not in a relationship with the person, because maybe that's why you're watching the video, you're like, I want to be friends with him, but I don't know how. Like, what are ways that you can practically like surrender the other person that you're in a relationship with to God?
How did we do it?
For us, I think it was a lot of like, we would want to stay on the phone all night, and it's saying, you know what, I know that I have something to do in the morning, or this ministry I have to serve in, so I'm going to make sure that we can only talk till 10 or something like that. Like, I think kind of like blocking out our feelings and how we felt about things, and more so of, okay, this is what I have to do, or this is what God's calling me to do. So I think it's kind of like dying to yourself and like what you want in the relationship, or your perspective on it, and saying, okay, God, what do you want for us? Right?
And it was also, I like that you said blocking out certain things, because for me it was also like remembering that God is my first love. So in a lot of ways we can kind of like worship the person that we're with, just by having them at the forefront of our thoughts all day, thinking about their well-being. And that's natural, that's normal, you care for them. That's not bad, but it can become bad if you kind of like start to idolize a person. And I think I was just very cautious of that, and like she said, blocking out, not saying, oh my God, I hate her, in order to read the Bible, but saying this is God's time, and this is what I'm going to devote to God. I think we did a lot of fasting as well.
We did a
lot of fasting.
That was the most fasting I ever did in my life.
To her demise, we did a lot of fasting, because I was an avid, and still am an avid believer of fasting, and the power that.
Tell them what fasting is.
Let's tell them what fasting is. You don't have no safe people on here.
Right.
So fasting is when you don't eat for a certain period of time, just to devote that time to seek.
I did that. Can you believe that?
She did that for me. She did it for a certain period of time, just to, devote herself, and we devoted our relationship, and we devoted our future. We talked a lot about our future,
and not just like food. Like, we would fast from each other.
Fast from social media.
Which was the hardest thing in the world. Because when you talk to someone all the time, every day, and it's like, oh, randomly, like, I used to already know it. Like, I felt it in my spirit that he was going to say, we should fast next week. And I'm like, no. What am I going to do?
It's actually funny, though. Like, she would always know when I was going to bring it up. And I would always just deliver it in a sense of, like, yo, you know what's about to happen.
Yeah.
Like, you already know we got to fast. We got to just I guess kindle the fire with God and bring our relationship back to God. And it wasn't nothing crazy. I don't think we ever like went past any boundaries in our relationship. We just knew that in order for us to stay afloat, that we needed to be before God. I think even towards the end of our relationship, we were really not doing that a lot as well, if that makes sense. And so we went into a rocky place. You need God to survive in your relationship, basically, is what we're saying. Anyway, so we fasted. We would fast from each other. I remember you would be like, I know we're not supposed to cheat. She's texting me on a fast.
Well, we used to fast.
We're not supposed to talk to each other.
Because the fast used to be like, there was different ones. There would be one from like the morning till 6 p.m. and then after 6 p.m. we can talk. And then there will be times where it's like for a week or 2 weeks of like, we can't talk at all. And I'm like, what relationship, please comment down below. What relationship do you have to do that? It was so hard, but I would say that every time we did it, it was like after, it was like we were way better than those. But I also think, I just remembered as you were talking, I don't know if you remember that we did this thing, I don't know where we got it from. We used to watch and read like a lot of like relationship books and stuff like that, which I would recommend. But there was something, I don't know what book that was from, where it was like stars, hearts. Do you remember that? It was like, where's your heart, where's your star, where's your...
I remember vaguely when you said stars, hearts. Like I got like a memory.
So it was
thing,
like,
but...
okay, so going into boundaries, what we did from the very beginning, we were like, hey guys, I'm gonna find it and I'll let you guys know what it is.
Because it was really
it's
powerful.
basically like, how do I explain that? It was kind of like a scale, right? Of like
I just remember writing stars and hearts. I don't remember anything
usually
else.
I forget things. It was like a scale, and on the scale it was like holding hands. Remember that?
I remember. Say more. I remember.
Hugging, I believe.
Yeah.
Then kissing, and then it went farther and farther. You get the point. But it was like circle, star, heart. Yeah. So it was kind of like from the beginning we made sure. Anyways, the point was you had to decide what was like your star, where you're comfortable with.
Oh, that's why I didn't remember, because the context. So it was like understanding each other's boundaries and our buttons. And so we would say, or I think we would say or text stars, hearts, or whatever. Like
like you're supposed to look at the scale, and then show where's your heart. Now the heart you don't choose, because the heart is where you're like leaning on.
Yes.
And the star, I believe, is where it's like comfortable, right?
I believe so. One of them.
Find it.
She's gonna find it.
The reason why I mentioned that was because in talking about boundaries, it's important that when you read these like relationship books, or when you read or when you watch these relationship sermons or whatever it is that you do, to kind of like find out where each other is comfortable, and then also find out where you're like you're pushing it a little bit, and then make sure you both communicate about that, because I think that with a lot of my friends, and I'm sure your friends too, it's like one person is like, oh, I'm comfortable here, and the next person's like, well, I'm comfortable here, you know. So I think throughout your whole relationship, even now that we're friends, it's communication and like being honest with each other and letting each other know when it's just a bit too much, like I need space. And you could even implement fasting, like he was explaining, or it could be something that's like, I just don't feel comfortable with this, and how can we work this out, right?
Most definitely. I think what kept us so strong in the beginning phase, like I said, it was the honeymoon phase, and so it was easy to get into like, I love you so much, lovey-dovey, and that's not wrong. It's really not. I'm just saying, like, for us, for us, what worked is like putting putting everything before God. I can't stress that enough. I really can't. I think we were just so interconnected. Like I would just think something and she would text me saying the same thing, or like random points at night we would just call each other or text each other, and just like really connected spiritually, not only to each other but to God and to the Holy Spirit. So definitely ground your relationship in God.
So our advice for like, just if you want to stay friends after you break up, is involve God in it through every single process, and He'll work it out. And if you guys are not friends, then maybe that's for a reason. It could be for a specific time, or it can be because you guys are just not great for each other. I'm just out here being real, okay? Like
great for each other. Now you prophetic. I think to survive as friends after having dated, you really have to understand the person. You have to understand the person's future. You have to understand their aspirations, their goals, what they want in their lives. And I think when we split, we understood, not at that moment, but after probably when we had that conversation, we were like, in order for us to be effective in each other's lives, we just have to support, not from a distance, but support in a different way. I think even when we broke up, you had said, like this may not be like a forever thing that we're going to be broken up, and even if we don't come back together romantically, we're still in each other's lives for a reason, and so I think that's very key if you want to continue a relationship or friendship with your ex, that you realize that you're not just there to lollygag, or you're not just there to like get back with them, which a lot of people, you are there in their lives for a reason. And so keeping that front of mind is going to help your friendship.
So I hope we helped you out. If there's anything else you want to add?
You have any questions?
No. Oh, well, how are we going to ask some questions?
No, I'm asking, are you?
Oh, do I have any questions?
I don't have any questions.
No, I think hopefully, if you guys ever need any advice on that, we can like help.
Yes, we can.
Well, we're honest with each other and with you guys at the same time. So just want to thank you guys for watching. I hope we were helpful with our advice.
I hope so.
We were trying to be as honest as we could be. So thank you for watching, guys. Bye.
Bye, guys.